Chris Lovitt and I discussed the first NFL blockbuster trade that saw Matt Stafford heading to LA. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more NFL videos.
So yeah, I was quite surprised when I read that trade news on, or was it Saturday? Because I didn't. I mean, I knew that the Rams were interested in him, and he was apparently interested in the Rams. But when I saw what the Rams paid for him, I was like, that's just very unreasonable and just too much to give up two first-round picks, a third round, and Jared Goff. That's just way too much. And yeah, the Rams just continue with their strategy to just get rid of all their first-round picks for proven players, but it's kind of a risky move. Like if it doesn't pay off, yeah, they just bargained their future really.
Yeah, and the first thing that I thought of when I heard the trade and saw, what was involved from both sides was this reminded me of an NBA trade where a team gets a star for a number of first round picks and a player with a bad contract to kind of dump the salary, sort of thing. And I think this is a trade that could work out for both sides. I mean, for that to happen, the Rams would have to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years, I think, because when you give up, cheap rookie deals for, players like Ramsey and Stafford, who you're paying much more than you would be paying rookie players, that's obviously going to hurt your salary cap in the long run. But yeah, my thoughts were the same really, that this was a lot to give up for Stafford, who's, I think he's 33 now, aging quarterback. Obviously he's joining a very good situation, and the best, like by far the best situation that Stafford has ever had. And there's people that think maybe Stafford has been a bit underappreciated and not even had a good situation to be in. So this is a kind of make or break for Stafford as well. He's got no excuses now. He's got a great coach, great receivers, a great defense, and I'm quite intrigued to see how he does in LA.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Stafford didn't really have a good defense at all with the Lions throughout his years. Like just once he had a good defense, then he actually finished with a great record. But he actually has, in NFL history, has the most pass touchdowns without a postseason win, because he's 0-3 in postseason. Obviously, you can say like there needs to be a whole team involved to win in the postseason, but also I'm not sure that he's the guy that like delivers you a Super Bowl. Like obviously he's an upgrade to Jared Goff, but I think it's a lot of risk, and just you pay a hefty price for a guy that isn't proven in the postseason. And the Rams team, it's gonna get some holes in the next few years because like you mentioned before, you cannot stock up the team with promising rookies on like cheap deals. So you're gonna have to pay a lot of players eventually, and they're already quite cap strapped. Of course, trading Jared Goff helps them in that regard. But yeah, it's kind of a make or break for McVay and definitely for their GM Les Snead. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not, willing to give up on Jared Goff right now. I still think Jared Goff has some potential. It hasn't really clicked for him, and obviously some people will say, well, if it doesn't click for him in the Rams offense, then it's probably not going to click for him. But I think this will make teams think twice as well about giving out these big extensions after 3 years or 4 years maybe, because you do become tied to this player. And I think we're going to see that with, Darnold and Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. Those guys are probably next up to get those big contract extensions. And yeah, I think teams are gonna think twice, because we've we've just seen what the Rams had to part with just to get rid of Goff and obviously acquire Stafford as well. But part of that trade was getting rid of Goff. So I think this is really going to make teams think long and hard before giving QBs these big second deals.
Yeah, definitely. It's a warning sign for, yeah, like you said, the next kind of rookie QB class that's about to get paid. But I think for Jared Goff, it could be like a great situation. Like he can show the world, or he can show the NFL that it wasn't just McVay that made him great. I mean, obviously, I'm not quite convinced that it really was him and not just McVay. And I'm also not really convinced that the Lions actually going to stick with him as their like long-term like quarterback. Like I'm not sure if they're not just gonna draft a quarterback in the first round this year anyways. So what do you think? You think they're gonna draft a quarterback this year and just let him sit behind, or you think they're just going to maybe try to trade Jared Goff straight away again?
I think this is a perfect scenario just to give him a year and just see what you have with Jared Goff, because we've only ever seen him in one system with the Rams. He might have some talents that we're not aware of that weren't being utilized. I think this is just a perfect 1 year. See how he gets on in Detroit, and then you've got 4 first-round picks in two this year and 2 the year after, with which to, I guess, draft a new quarterback or even trade for another one. And it's just another really quick point. This trade, I think, is gonna, and we often talk about like QBs resetting the market, where a QB gets a huge deal and then everyone kind of bases what the next QB is going to get off of that deal. I think this trade has maybe even placed like more value on first round picks, because if a quarterback like Stafford, who we've just kind of discussed, he's aging, he's got a couple of prime years left, but he's definitely not a young star QB like you can draft these days. If Stafford is worth 2, then what's, let's say, the Jets number 2 overall pick worth? You've got to think it's got to be worth more than that, right? So I think this will go some way in determining, and if we're also talking about the Deshaun Watson trade, which is going to happen, I think this will be a benchmark as to the value of kind of future draft picks and future player trade values as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely something to consider when you think, what is Deshaun Watson going to be worth? Like, he has to be at least 3 first-round picks, if not more. If
Yeah,
Stafford's
for
already
sure.
2 first-round picks. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting domino effect anyways, now that the first kind of first domino has fallen with Stafford going to the Rams. It's going to be interesting seeing forward, like, kind of which team's going to end up without a quarterback in the end. Like, it's like a game of musical chairs, and when the music stops, one team's going to be sitting there without a quarterback. It could be the Colts, it could be like the Saints, who knows? Yeah, it's going to be interesting time to see what happens in the next few months there.